Welcome everyone watching and listening, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Sistah Sistah. Ow!
I'm Zeitlin Perez.
And I'm Miss YaYa.
Our mighty podcast is growing, and thanks to you all, our supporters. Remember to subscribe and share your favorite episodes of us with your mommy, with your hermana, with your prima, with your vecina, because we must be everywhere.
And we are well into our third season and are extremely excited to continue bringing powerful stories from mujeres emprendedoras like ourselves.
That is right. And New York Secretary of State, Rossana Rosado, took the time from her busy schedule to give us the exclusive scoop of her upcoming memoir. She also shares her career in publishing, community activism, and government.
Wow, and during her 30-year media career, she earned an Emmy Award, a Star Award from the New York Women's Agenda, and a Peabody Award for journalism.
Oh my God, we are so honored and excited to introduce Rossana Rosado.
Secretary Rosado, thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you feeling on this beautiful spring day?
I'm very happy to be in Queens with the two of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So a Bronx, New Yorker. So you're born and raised in the Bronx. How was it like being jovencita Rossana Rosado?
Well, I'm the oldest of 4 children, so I was the boss. And I've pretty much been that all my life. Always in charge of other people, always telling people what to do.
Yeah, because you're kind of an adult from birth.
Yes, you get all these responsibilities. And I think, that really shaped, right, who I am, even to this day. I'm always kind of aware that I'm in charge.
Do you like always being in charge?
I think sometimes I complain about it, but
you'd be bored if you weren't in charge.
When we're trying to decide what we're going to order from Uber Eats, I'm like, I don't want to make an executive decision. So, but I do believe that I was raised, even as a child, because of my birth order, that I was a leader, and I've embraced that role.
What was that aha moment that made you want to get into journalism?
So I don't remember. I actually didn't know that you could have a career in journalism. I wanted to write books. I wanted to be a writer. And so I went to college with that intention. And then at some point in college, I was in an English major, and this adult said to me, you really can't teach English, because you speak with an accent. And, I honestly
the audacity.
I didn't have the vocabulary to defend myself. But I remember saying, I want to write. And she said, oh, that's journalism. And so I was like, okay. And that's how I switched my major to journalism. And so I wasn't totally conscious, but I was like, wait, there's a career where you write for a living, right? And you tell stories and you cover news. And then I was enamored of that because it would just fit exactly what I wanted to do.
And then you went on to start El Diario. How was that journey of starting something that has been circulated throughout all of New York City? Like, you were the go-to news for Latinos, or are the go-to news for Latinos.
So actually, El Diario was 100 years. I mean, El Diario was 100 when I left, right? But,
okay.
So when I went to El Diario, it's really interesting, in fact, that the year I was born, which is 1961, El Diario was a small paper and La Prensa was an older paper, and they merged in 1961.
El Diario La Prensa.
El Diario La Prensa. And so imagine, then I guess 22 years later, I become a reporter, and so El Diario became the place where I kind of cut my teeth as a reporter and a journalist.
What was that transition from being a reporter all the way now to politics? Was there any steps in between to the role that you are
yes,
now?
There's a 30-year career. There's a 30-year career. But also, I like to say I'm not in politics, I'm in government. And so, I think, so I did that. I was in media for 30 years. I did everything that you could do in media. I did TV, mostly newspapers is what I loved. I won awards. And then there was a moment where I just wanted to do something else, and I kind of pursued different interests. It wasn't a straight line to government, but it happened to be, there was a governor who I liked and who was a friend, and he asked me to come on board in this administration. And so I became Secretary of State, and it's really fascinating work in government. You get to, everything you do impacts like thousands of people, and it's, you know, it's kind of cool, you know, when you're involved in crafting a legislation. I used to say, when I was in the newspaper, you knew, you got behind causes and you had a front page and you know, support it, and you kind of knew what the right thing was to do. In government, when you know it's the right thing to do, you still have, it has to be the right time, you have to have the right alignment, you know, all of this. There's so many more elements to kind of getting stuff done, and so I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely, because in the newspaper, you focused a lot on immigration and in helping immigrants, prison reform, and then you've taken that into your role now as Secretary of State. As the newspaper, you're informing people. As a Secretary of State,
making things happen.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, pretty much. We're really writing policy, you know, and helping folks deal with the impact. So when I came to government in 2016, so by November of 2016, we had this crazy election, and we had this president who basically came after immigrants. So I spent like 3 years just building this infrastructure in New York State to help immigrants deal with this incredible, you know, campaign against them.
Yeah.
So I feel lucky that I was in a position to help at least those immigrants in New York.
You came right on time, 2016, right on time.
I had no idea that all that training from El Diario would come in handy.
That's actually pretty cool. And it just also kind of fuels and that every step of your life and your journey gives you the skill sets for something that it may come up, and that was a perfect example of that.
Even when you don't even know, that's why you're going there, right?
So, and then, so talk to us about this passion you have with the prison reforms and things of that nature that you've worked directly.
So I work directly with folks who are coming home from prison. So within the criminal justice area, they call it reentry. And it's kind of, how do we as a society welcome people home after they've done their time? In my view, it really proves kind of the humanity of a society. Like we say you get 25 years, but then when you come home, we prosecute you for, you know, for the rest of your life, right? You're an ex-con, you're a this, you're that, you're parolee. And so I feel like it's where we as a society decide how humane we want to treat people, right? Right, you know, whether you look at it from a lens of religion or a lens of government or a lens of, you know, whatever career you're in, you say, if we as a society do what we just said we were going to do, then these folks should come home and be able to have another chance, right, at life. And it's complicated, right? Because you may think that this is the right thing until you're a victim of a crime, right?
Right.
So it's complicated, but for me, it's fascinating, and it's, you know, of all the issues that I worked on over the years, this is the one that caught kind of my attention in a way that I felt I was called. I was uniquely, you know, positioned. So my son, you know, teaches second grade, right? I could not ever see myself in a class of second graders. That's really scary.
But you did teach at Pace University
But
at one point.
I teach adults.
Yes, adults.
But when I walk into a prison, I feel right at home. I walk into a prison, I walk into a room with 50 men who are, you know, residents of that prison, and I don't feel threatened, I don't feel nervous.
That's
right?
so
I feel more nervous in a second grade class than going in.
That is very interesting.
That's very interesting. Is it more of...
These second graders aren't convicts, but
yes.
I hope not.
But they're like uneasy and like,
yeah.
And you can't really control that, where maybe another classroom of these men that probably are really eager to see someone that's willing to teach them and to give them a helping hand.
Yeah, especially after being incarcerated and people have like written them off. It's good to see that someone is still in their corner. And especially in the Latino community, where so many people are wrongfully accused or small crimes that they get the gravest sentence for. It's good to have somebody like you in their corner.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. If it's the position of someone that is about to do the re-entry, what are those skill sets and what are those counselings and things that you do with the family? Is this counseling? Is it developments for skills in the job field? Like, walk us through
it's everything. It's walking them through the process, right? When people come home, they need a place to live. They need help with family unification. Oftentimes they've been away for a long time. and then acclimating to new, things. So someone got out of prison yesterday. Imagine the people who've been coming home in a pandemic, right? And now they're used to deprivation, so wearing a mask is nothing for them, but, doing a job search and doing all these things. So we tried, I work with the organizations that I work with, we try to kind of address the whole, like what are the most immediate needs? Some people want to go to work right away, but even if they work at a restaurant, they're going to have to manage that computer, right? And they haven't been in front of a computer for a long time. So it's kind of just, each person requires a plan to make them whole, and it's different, right? Some people are absent from their children, or some people, have wives, and, so it's complicated. But it's unique to each individual, and some people are skilled. They've done 2 masters. When we did have great education programs in prisons, and so they have all this education, but they haven't had the practical practice in
interviewing and in the fields and all those things.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the world has changed. While they've been away. So
coming back home during a pandemic, where people who have been living through a pandemic are having a hard time finding jobs, and now someone who's coming back into society now has to find a job. What's great about it is with your program is that it's not a one-size-fits-all, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, everybody requires
situation.
some kind of tailoring to understand, where they are. Everybody's not coming home to a, happy family, and
that's important.
Yeah, sometimes family is well-meaning, but they still are like parole officers. Like, a Puerto Rican family, you're all parole officers.
Yeah.
Like, where were you? Aren't you supposed to be doing this?
They're gonna come and get you.
Yeah, exactly. And so we are, in my view, I could do 10 shows on this. We are, as a society, and I would venture to say as a culture, as Latinos, we're prosecutorial in nature, right?
Yeah.
We are all about punishment and prosecution and punishing people for every act. And I think my work, the way I move in the world, is to try to undo some of that, and to say, well, why are we like that? Everything doesn't require punishment. Some things require intervention or require comprehension or
empathy, or just another way of approaching it. So how will somebody like ourselves that want to get on board on a program like that, where do we go to find more information, to volunteer?
So the easiest way is to contact me, but there are many organizations out there. There's Exodus Transitional Community is in East Harlem, the Osborne Association, Fortune Society. There are a lot of organizations in New York City who are doing some of this work. And it could be as simple as you spending an hour a month doing mock interviews with folks, right? Preparing them for their interview.
Oh,
so, we do that.
I think so what makes you qualified for this job?
Yes,
how did I do that?
Don't flirt with them.
Oh,
No. What makes you qualified for this job? Is this demeanor better?
Yes, more serious.
Okay, great. So that's incredible. That's really incredible that you're doing this work. It's very important and necessary. But transitioning into something a little more personal for you, now that we hear that you wanted to be a writer growing up, and now you get to, do your own personal writing for yourself. Tell us about your upcoming memoir. How in depth are you going to get with your life?
Well, I'm going to tell my story, and it is kind of in depth about my childhood in the Bronx. And I really see it as a way to encourage other people to tell their stories. I think for a lot of us who lead lives that are not particularly remarkable, we just don't think our story is worth telling. And I think even with all of my accomplishments, I've always felt like I don't have enough adversity or drama.
¿Qué más quiere, mujer?
I know. But,
I'm ready to read it.
In writing, you kind of, you also get to dig deep and also kind of assess how everything led to, to each other. So I'm enjoying the process of writing. And it was when I was teaching at John Jay College that I saw my college students, who are many Latino students in John Jay, they just had never read our stories. They had never read Latino authors. And therefore, they didn't know their history. They didn't know about Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, and they didn't know about Peru and the Panama Canal. And so I feel like in telling my story, I'm adding kind of to this whole story of what it is, what contributions, our people have made, but also not just the folks who built things, but the folks who just led normal lives, who came, from all these countries. And I think that is an important narrative to tell, because the narrative that's been told about us is different, right? And we haven't really done anything to push back against it, and not in our favor. And so that's what I want to do with my memoir, is to just tell my story, my family story, and also hope to inspire other people to tell their stories.
Absolutely.
I'm inspired.
No, really, like those are the things that I
and
love.
You have a story.
Right, I love autobiographies, because it just gives me a sense of that I can relate, I can do it. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's what's outside my window. So I'm sure that you, in your lifetime, you've overcome a lot of adversities and challenges throughout your lifetime and your career. What have you done to get back to your zone and get your confidence back and get you right back on track?
I built all these relationships, and so I like to go back to kind of my posse of friends who know me before there were titles, and who, help to keep me grounded. I read and I write. Writing is how I kind of let it out. I've written a lot of unsent letters. One day I'll do a book that's unsent letters, like to my brother, to my mother, to, I have a file of unsent letters. Like,
so that'll be the follow-up right after the memoir. We're gonna get the unsent letters from Secretary Rosado.
I have to wait for some people to pass.
Oh my God,
no!
Mira, tú.
Oh, wait,
you
can change names.
The value of just writing your feelings, even though you don't send it,
releasing it,
just releasing it and journaling and all of that. I think I find comfort in that.
Well, it is. It seems very therapeutic. It's just as effective as you talking to someone, and just that you need an ear. But oh my God, I would like to see what that is.
The unsent letters,
and the ones that are a little risque, you can possibly change their names. Have been changed.
Yeah, for the purposes of identity.
Because now I want to read this book of unsent letters.
See, but we have to read the first one,
which
is the Tales of a Bronx Girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, hello.
What's the name of your memoir?
Or
is that a secret?
It's not secret, but it's
under development.
It's a process in work. But I think the
I like Tales of a Bronx Girl.
I think that Bronx will definitely feature in it, because I want people to know where I'm from, right? And even though I don't live in the Bronx anymore, it's still, for me, how I move in the world is the impact of growing up with that, with the Bronx kind of in me and everywhere I go.
I get it. I born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, lived in Miami for 10 years. The Bronx never left me. And then I came back, and now I'm in Queens, and the Bronx still is
That's
inside.
right. I do it all the time too with Uptown.
The Washington Heights will always be a part of Z. So
I was in Chicago once. The waitress said, "You from New York?" Because I asked for a coffee and it didn't come, and I was like, "What happened with the coffee?" And she's like, "Wait a minute, you from New York?"
What was
She's like, "You need to chill."
You can't tell a New Yorker to chill.
What?
I was in Chicago.
Then what did you
what
do?
Kind of service? I kind of laughed, and I was like, "Wow, people know I'm a New Yorker."
So, it is
take
that with pride.
Right? It's part of who I am. I have never lived anywhere but New York. I went to college here. I bought my house here. And so I always look at I've traveled all over the country, but I've never really fallen in love with another city.
There's no place like New York.
I know it.
No place. And on that note,
we gotta do a game. Well, not a game,
it's a little bit of a game.
It's a little bit of a game.
So this is our segment of the show we called Rapid Fire Questions. We're a little too excited about this segment.
Okay.
Of the show.
We like it.
This is what everybody's face is like, oh, all right, what is happening? Okay, so this is the part where we ask you as many questions as possible within 30 seconds, and you have to answer the first thing that comes to mind. No ifs, ands, or booties.
Booties.
Okay.
Don't be worried. Don't be scared. This is fun.
I don't think she's worried. She's like,
bring it. Yeah. What do you got? What do you got? I'm from the Bronx. What do you got? Okay.
I ain't scared of you.
So, on that note, 3, 2, 1, go.
Morning or night person?
Morning.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Big, bold, and beautiful.
Ooh. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
To make people disappear.
Oh, to make people disappear? Now you be disappear.
No, to make people disappear.
Like, okay, bad people, bad
Boom,
people.
you're
Be
out.
gone.
That's what we'll get her a 1. If you were running How about when you run for president? How about that? How about when you run for president? Who of these three people would be your vice president, chief of staff, head of security? Your choices are
La Lupe, Celia Cruz, Rosie Perez.
so.
Can I have the three of them for all the positions?
No, you
gotta
gotta choose.
design.
Put them.
So you got chief of staff.
All right, Rosie Perez is for vice president for sure.
Oh,
And then,
chief of staff and head of security.
La Lupe, head of security.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And then Celia does what?
Head of security. Chief of
Chief of
staff.
staff.
She's your chief of staff. Yeah, because I hear that she was very organized, got to places on time.
But that, they're also
That makes
dead.
sense.
And she always knew her surroundings and all of that. So
Yeah.
good choices, good choices.
Secretary Rosado said they're also dead, but you know,
But we get it.
In
we
a
get
perfect world, we bring it back.
Rosie Perez is not dead. Just saying.
No,
But
she's
anywho,
not dead. She's
and
not.
your favorite curse word.
It starts with an F.
Fudgies, fudgies, fudgies.
That's how I would say it. But you don't want to say it. But it's F.
It's
Not
fudgies. It's fudgies.
It's
That's
real
a good
harsh.
one.
Yeah.
It's real harsh.
But it can be used for so many things.
It's like so cute, like, oh my God. It's like,
Or my favorite new one is fuckery.
oh, fuckery. That's a good one.
Take it.
That's a good one.
Take it. Oh, I
What
love
kind
it.
of fuckery is this? I like it.
I like it.
a
Good
great
stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you so much for being here
That's
with us,
it?
Secretary Rosado. Oh, you want more?
No,
We
rapid
can give
fire.
you more. Oh my
No,
God.
that's fine.
No,
We can talk more.
I was expecting more.
No,
More,
that
chat,
was
more
easy.
in the, yeah, see, you were worried for nothing.
I know.
You were,
we lie. We lie.
we lie. We
lie.
PG-13 here.
We try it.
Now, F-U-C-K.
Oh, well,
The kids know that word. It's fine.
I'm sure they do.
They know. They hear their parents say it all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Secretary Rosado, for
Thank
being
you.
here with us today.
Thank you for
Greatly
having me.
appreciate your presence. Looking forward to your memoir. Looking forward to the Unsent Letters book.
Oh, yes.
And, wait,
Much, much more.
Wait, we still have one more question.
We have here, what is next
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
for Secretary of State? How far are you trying to aspire to go in your career?
political career.
political
I do
career.
not have a political career. I work in government.
Sorry.
So, can we say that difference between political career and a government career?
Well, I work in government for a person, who's a principal, right? For the governor. I don't see myself running for office. It's just not something I want to do. I'm about to turn 60, and I see myself, in really deciding what this next decade is going to be more about fulfillment for me than, kind of a job goal. Like, I want to do the things I love to do. I want to write. I want to, teach people in prison or at a college level. I want to speak, about the things that I'm passionate about, which are Latinos, Latino leadership, Latinos leadership, and people in reentry, people coming home. And, that's kind of what I see myself. I have to figure it out, but that's what I see myself doing.
You're well on your way there. Like, everything you've gone through,
She's already done. Now do it on a
on
more
her terms.
and on your consistent basis, because you got to clock in and then do what you got to do. And do it with so much love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How, anything how people can learn more about you, or if they want to say, hey, Rossana, I saw you here. I loved your episode with Sistah Sistah. Where can they do that?
I'm on Twitter at Rosado. I'm on Twitter, and then all my information is on the website of the Department of State. So I'm like the easiest, most accessible person because my life, I live in public. Yeah. So, and I return, emails, and I try to make time to get back, respond to emails.
Excellent.
So with everyone that comes on our show, we are always excited at the end of the interview to make you an honorary Sistah Sistah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.